Hi friends, welcome back to the Enchanted Stay, where fantasy books, stray kids, and honest reviews live side by side. Today I'm reviewing Elemental Thief by Rachel Morgan, which is the first book in the Ridley Kane Chronicles. I read this one in February 2025 and it's a YA urban fantasy with dystopian elements, forbidden magic, and a very clear Robin Hood-inspired protagonist. This review will be spoiler light, and as always, I'll talk about what worked for me, what didn't, and who I think this book is actually for. So grab your sword and light stick and let's go. Elemental Thief is set in a near-future city where magic is outlawed. We follow 17-year-old Ridley Kane, who secretly uses her forbidden elemental magic to steal from the wealthy and help those in need. Very much a modern-day Robin Hood. After one of her heists, a mysterious stranger follows her home and is later murdered outside her apartment. That murder leads to Ridley's best friend being wrongfully arrested. To clear her friend's name, Ridley is forced into an uneasy alliance with Archer Davenport, heir to the city's largest fortune and the very person she recently stole from. Together, they have to recover a stolen artifact with dangerous secrets. Secrets that could put a lot of lives at risk. As they dig deeper, they uncover corruption, political intrigue, and a much larger conspiracy hidden beneath the city's polished surface. Let's talk about the characters, because this is where the book started to lose me. Ridley Kane is our protagonist. She's independent, stubborn, secretive, and magically gifted. She presents herself as someone who hates the rich and powerful, but at the same time she clearly misses her old life among them. In theory, that eternal conflict is interesting, but in execution, I struggled to connect with her. She often came across as a spoiled, inconsistent, and emotionally immature, and I didn't always find her motivations believable. Her Robin Hood behavior sometimes felt less like compassion and more like spite. Mr. Kane. Her father was more interesting to me. He's a jeweler who once created magical jewelry for the elite, before magic was banned. And his fall from grace is one of the more compelling emotional threads in the book. Archer Davenport is the heir to one of the richest families in the city, and Ridley's former schoolmate. Their dynamic is meant to be tense and layered. Rich boy meets rebellious thief. But for me, their relationship never fully clicked. The tension felt forced rather than organic. There are many other side characters, but overall, I didn't feel deeply attached to anyone. Worldbuilding is probably the strongest part of this book. The setting has a really cool urban dystopian feel, near future, politically tense, and socially divided. We learn why magic was banned, how the city enforces that ban, and how power is distributed between wealthy families and the rest of society. I appreciate the way the author layered in political intrigue, social control, and historical context without overwhelming the story. That said, there is a fair amount of telling rather than showing. But overall, the world itself felt solid and well thought out. This book leans heavily into several familiar fantasy and dystopian tropes, including forbidden magic, societal oppression, rebellion and resistance, fight for freedom, reluctant allies, Robin Hood archetype, and dystopian urban setting. None of these tropes are bad on their own. In fact, I usually love them. But execution really matters, and here they felt more familiar than fresh. So what worked for me? The concept, magic outlawed in a modern city, is always intriguing. The world building and political structure. The cover art, which I genuinely love, and think fits the genre well. What didn't work for me is there was too much telling and not enough showing. Characters that felt flat, inconsistent, or irritating. And endless secrets and lies without strong enough justification. And a protagonist I never emotionally connected with. Ridley in particular was hard for me to root for. Everyone is lying to everyone else, constantly, and often for reasons that I didn't find believable. By the end, I felt like there was great ideas, but they weren't executed in a way that worked for me personally. Overall, Elemental Thief just wasn't my cup of tea. I can see the appeal, especially for readers who enjoy YA dystopian fantasy, rebellious protagonists, and forbidden magic, but for me, the execution fell flat. I give this book 3 out of 5 stars, and I won't be continuing this series. And I wouldn't reread this one either, but I don't regret trying it because the premise itself is strong. If you read Elemental Thief, I'd love to know what you thought, especially if Ridley worked for you as a protagonist. And if you enjoy honest fantasy reviews, world building, discussions, and a little Stray Kids coded chaos on the side, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Enchanted Stay. Until next time, stay chaotic, stay magical, stay.